So hi everybody, thank you very much for joining us today. This is Abby's first webinar, and we hope this will be the first in a series of online sessions. We're going to be guiding you through some of the common topics that come up with buying a home, and hope to provide some practical advice, some guidance on all things property, whether you're a first-time buyer, a downsizer or a second stepper. So if you haven't already filled in the polls that I've launched on your screens, please have a look at that and answer some questions there. And we'll touch on those results later in the session. So I'll leave those live for now. Please also make use of the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. We'll get through as many questions as we can as we're going, and try and get through a few as well at the end if we can. So before we start, we'll do a few introductions. My name's Lisa Flounders. I'll be moderating today's session, and I'm joined by an esteemed panel of property experts. I'll work my way around so everybody can say hello. Stephen.
Hi, yeah, my name is Steve Holbrook. I'm the sales director for Abbey New Homes. I've been in the housing industry for over 20 years now, so experience markets both good and bad, and have the grey hairs to prove it.
And Alex?
So my name is Alex Stalls. I'm a mortgage consultant at Mortgage Lights. I've been in the industry for probably a decade now, helping people with their mortgages for the best part of 10 years. And unfortunately, unlike Steve, I've got no hair left, so I can talk about the ups and downs as well.
And Lydia.
Hi, my name's Lydia Elder and I am a two-time new build home purchaser, and I'll be providing a buyer's perspective on Help to Buy.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. So I'll end the polls now and we'll refer to those later. So today we're looking specifically at why now might be a good time to think about buying a home or moving home. I'm sure everybody has read the news, read about the impact of the pandemic on the property market. So we're hoping we can bust some myths and look beyond these headlines today. The first topic we are going to cover is costs, and whether your financial circumstances will allow you to buy a home at the moment. You know, what does it actually cost to buy a home? So the first question we asked you in our polls was whether you believe that you can take out a mortgage while on furlough. 83% of you said that was false. So I'm going to hand over to Alex. What's the reality there?
The reality is that lenders are more than happy to take a mortgage application from anybody who is currently on furlough. They obviously will use the furlough payment, so the slightly reduced elements of your salary, but they are more than comfortable in happy to lend. And people forget lenders are still there to lend money, and they're more than comfortable to help everyone currently in the situation.
Great. And are there any other myths around securing a mortgage where, you know, the answer might surprise people that is worth talking about?
Absolutely. I think a big one at the moment is self-employment. Mm-hmm. People talk about needing to have 3 years history or huge evidence of working in a self-employed basis. It's absolutely not true. Even at the moment, during this weird time that we're in, lenders are still happy to potentially offer you mortgages with only 1 year's trading with self-employment. You don't need that huge history. If you've started a new business in the last 12 months or 12 months ago, mm-hmm. you're not going to be punished for doing so. There are still lenders happy to lend you that amount of money, or happy to consider an application if you are based on that. So I wouldn't worry about having to have huge evidence of term of working, more that you have an income at the moment.
Great. Okay. And Lydia, you weren't sure when you bought your first home if you were a good risk for a lender, is that right?
Yes, well, when we bought our current property, I was on maternity leave when we were doing the mortgage application. I also had recently in the last year become self-employed as a contractor. So we weren't entirely sure whether I would qualify. I didn't have the 2 to 3 years of accounts. However, it was all fine. We had a great mortgage broker and he spoke to people, and yeah, it was all, you know, our worries were for nothing because we got our mortgage.
Great. So it's always worth then getting in touch, having that conversation, Alex.
Always. And I think that the job of the broker is to fix a problem. Mm-hmm. So no matter what the circumstance, as simple or as complex as it may be, we're here to try and find the solution. And a broker in the whole of market like ourselves has a huge array of lenders and specialities that we can go and look at. So if you think that you've been said no by your bank, it isn't the be all and end all. Come and talk to a specialist and we'll be able to point you in the right direction.
Brilliant. So let's have a look at the breakdown then of costs associated with buying a home, and have a look at what they actually do cost. Alex, I wonder if you can talk us through this.
No, absolutely. So again, people believe that there's huge sums of money that are required to buy a house on top of your deposit. It's not necessarily true. You'll see the first one there. We said about a brokerage and the benefits of a mortgage broker, and those brokers can come with a fee. They could be free, they could be an unlimited amount. We as a brokerage, we're £349, but that's only after we've got the agreement and stuff. And it's something to bear in mind. So if you want to set aside a figure, talk to your broker, and the broker will let you know straight off the bat what you're looking at. Now, more of a sort of standardised figure is an arrangement fee. Now, these arrangement fees are specific to the lender and the products that you might be wanting to go with. There are products that have no fee. There are products that have up to a £1,500, £2,000 fee. You can add these to the mortgage. It's something you don't have to, if you like, pay up front, but it's something to be aware of when selecting that product and working out which mortgage may be best. Again, valuation. What that means is a member of RICS, so the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, will go and have a look at that house and make sure that you're not paying too much for it. And the security to the lender is absolutely fine. Again, some lenders will pay this for you, so it's a free valuation, but it could be up to £500 depending on the situation. And again, your broker will let you know that straight away. Now, the big thing, which has quite a large range, is solicitors. And the reason for that is there's a very big spectrum of service you can get. So they can range from £1,200 for the lower costing ones, up to £1,800 for the more specialised and more interactive solicitors that may be able to make that, if you like, process happen that bit faster and make the experience a bit less stressful, which is very important. And the last one that you would have had to have considered is stamp duty. But what I won't do is I won't go into too much detail on that, because Lisa, I think you're going to talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
But to sort of summarise, you want to be having sort of somewhere in the region of £2,000 to £2,500 for your costs aside.
Great. Okay, thanks for that, Alex. So as Alex mentioned, one of the big game changers recently has been the stamp duty holiday announcement from the Chancellor, which many people will have seen. It might be helpful for us to step back before we discuss the holiday itself and talk a bit about what stamp duty actually is and what it means for buyers and their costs. Stephen, to kick off then, what is stamp duty and what would it usually cost somebody?
Okay. So to give it its official name, stamp duty land tax, and basically it's a tax paid to the government when you legally complete on the purchase of the property. Until the stamp duty holiday was announced, you had to pay this tax basically on any purchase over £125,000, just for the pleasure of buying a house. For the average person in the UK, buying a house at say sort of 300,000, that stamp duty used to cost about £5,000, which is a huge amount of money to save. And you had to find that up front. So,
okay. So what we asked everybody here whether the stamp duty holiday is changing their plans for buying a home at the moment in the current market. Interestingly, so 50% of people have said the stamp duty holiday has actually encouraged people to buy a home now. 28% were looking to buy before this anyway, but that's half. That's quite a big number. Stephen, what does the holiday then mean for people, and how long is that going to last?
Firstly, I mean, the stamp duty holiday affects all buyers. So whether you're buying your first place or a mansion worth millions, basically, if you're buying the property to live in yourself, up to the value of 500,000, you're not going to pay any stamp duty. So compared to the previous charges involved, as I said, that could save up to £15,000. If you are buying a home above £500,000, you will still be liable to pay stamp duty, but only on that portion that goes above 500. So you also benefit from the saving of 15,000. So whatever your scenario, it's a huge amount of money to save, which is why so many people who were sort of umming and ahhing and thinking about doing the move, they're just going for it now. And it's resulted in a real sort of flurry. You do need to be aware that the rules do differ a little bit if you're buying a second home or a home for investment. So best thing you can do, if you go on the government website, so it's gov.uk, they've got a stamp duty calculator on there, and you can quite easily work it all out. The holiday is actually in place until the 31st of March 2021. So to benefit from that holiday, you need to legally complete on a purchase before that date. We've actually put a really useful table onto the newsfeed within our website, so it just gives you sort of the cost savings that you could make at those sort of key milestone purchases. So have a little look.
Great. And Alex, from a mortgage broker's perspective, what impact will the stamp duty holiday have on lending?
It hasn't really changed the lender's appetite or willingness to lend money, but what it's really done is, as Steve said a minute ago, that money, that up to £5,000 is physical cash that you would need. It's not something you can mortgage. It's not something that you could add to the loan. It's something you would need up front. So what it's allowing people to do is put a bit more deposit down, but buy a slightly bigger house, or even reduce their mortgage borrowing by that little bit. So it's just allowed more people to reduce payments and other things like that.
Okay. And Lydia, I expect a stamp duty holiday would have come in quite handy when you bought your home.
Yes, it definitely would have. Our stamp duty was round about £18,000, which is not a small amount of money, and to have that money in cash, you know, it's a lot of saving, and it also takes money away from things that you might need to spend on your new home, such as flooring, for example. Ours was going to cost around £10,500. So if we'd had that money from the stamp duty, having had the holiday, it would have really helped us out a lot.
Wow, so big savings.
Yeah.
You see, we can sort of see now why the Chancellor's hoping this is really going to get the property market going after the pandemic and into the coming months, which takes us nicely onto our next topic then, I think, which is other incentives available to buyers at the moment. Why else should buyers think about buying now? One scheme that has been really, really popular has been the government Help to Buy equity loan scheme. And again, we asked you guys how well you understand the scheme. In our poll, just having a look here, and we asked, do you understand the Help to Buy process? And it was sort of an even mix here. 56% of people said yes, and 44% of people said no. So Alex, again, quite interesting, quite an even mix. Can we go back to the beginning? Can you explain what Help to Buy is and who can use it? I do have a slide here as well that we can take a look at.
So Help to Buy itself is a government-backed scheme. It's been running for well over 5 years now, designed to help those either buy their first home or, importantly, their next home. It's not just for first-time buyers. It's for any person moving home to try and assist you in buying that house that you might have not been able to purchase before. So interestingly, if we all look at the slide and we say an average house price for 3-bed might be $270. This is obviously dependent in your area, but the concept's the same. So you have to provide yourself a 5% deposit, and that's on the total value of that property. So in this example, 270,000, you'd need £13,500 deposit. Now, leading on from my previous cost exercise, you'll need those on top. This is just for that deposit of 13,500. The government would then, if you like, lend you or give you a 20% loan on your property. So if you're buying 270, £54,000. And what they say is they allow you to use this towards your deposit to help you buy that property. They do not expect anything to be paid back within the first 5 years. It's an interest-free period. And you only begin paying it back in year 6, a very small interest-only amount. And you have up to 25 years to pay that back, be it with a remortgage or the sale of the property. The real benefit to any person is that it allows you to reduce your mortgage down, or in fact increase the price you could buy it. So in this example, the mortgage would be £202,500. And the basis of the scheme is to make bigger properties or any property more achievable for a single person buying, 2 people, or even those buying a great big 4-bed detached that might not be able to push themselves there in the first instance.
Mm-hmm. Right, okay. So is the mortgage process with Help to Buy, is it traditionally the same as buying a home? Is it the same as buying a home in the normal way, or is it slightly different?
Absolutely. So the mortgage process itself is identical to buying any property. You would submit an application to a lender, provide evidence of your earnings and potentially some expenditure, and they would say, we're happy to lend you X amount of money to be able to go and buy the house. That's the same with Help to Buy or with any purchase. There's obviously a couple of bits they ask about the Help to Buy itself, but the concept is the same. The only difference when buying Help to Buy is there's another application that runs alongside of it, and that's the application to the government itself for the funds, the 20% that we're looking to borrow. But again, your consultant will be doing both of these for you, and the application for the Help to Buy loan, equity loan, and the mortgage will run simultaneously. They both then go to your solicitor, and your solicitor handles everything for you and draws down all that money and helps you buy the house.
Great. We've had a question come in actually. Someone said, are there any certain lenders who lend on Help to Buy?
Yes, absolutely. Really good question, actually. So not all lenders have an appetite for Help to Buy, but all the big wigs on the high street, and I'll read off a few names that most people know, NatWest, Barclays, Santander, Halifax, they're all in that marketplace, as long as some specialist lenders, Newbury, Leeds and others, that all have their niches in the market. They all have their little bits, again, to help. And importantly, in times of difficulty like this, there are even what we refer to as credit repair lenders. So those that are happy to lend on Help to Buy, even if you've had a slightly checkered credit history in the past, they're more than happy to consider it. And the big benefit is obviously you've got the equivalent of a 25% deposit. So again, their risk is lower. Lots of good interest rates, best in the market based on that, which helps you reduce your monthly payments.
We're getting so many questions in on Help to Buy. It's obviously a very popular topic. I won't completely bombard you now, Alex, but a couple of others. Someone has asked, does Help to Buy depend on what you earn? I guess again, it just goes back to that lendability factor and the income you were talking about.
It does, and there is a calculator that the government have sent out and have shared to sort of work out whether or not it's possible, and they're happy to lend you that money. Very simply, you can have a mortgage of up to 4.5 times your salary with Help to Buy. And the general rule of thumb is that whatever your take-home pay is, they don't like, or they would be happy to lend anything up to your mortgage, any committed outgoings, up to 45% of your net take-home. But rather than get into too much complexities, there's a very simple calculator you can check on the government or call a consultant like us, and we'll be able to point you in the right direction and sort of say what you can and can't borrow.
Right. And someone has asked if they're looking to buy a property in the UK, but they're actually from abroad, are they allowed to use the Help to Buy product?
They are, but they're able to use that once they've been here for a period of time. If you're currently residing abroad, not just with Help to Buy, but obtaining mortgages when you're not here in the UK is very difficult, nigh impossible at the moment. But it doesn't necessarily mean that, again, you have to be here for 3 or 4 years. If you move back to the UK, you have a job here, you have your savings here, you are then able to apply for Help to Buy, and we're able to select the specialist or the lenders that are going to be happy with that scenario. And as long as you've got a bit of a score behind you and they can find out who you are, often they'd be happy to provide you with a mortgage.
Right, okay. So Stephen, is Help to Buy available with Abbey New Homes?
Yes, yeah, it is, Lisa. So we actually offer the Help to Buy scheme on all of our developments. So at this moment in time, it's available to everyone on purchases up to the value of 600,000. So whether you're a first-time buyer or you're moving home, what you need to be aware is, as of the 31st of March 2021, the scheme is changing. So it's only going to be available to first-time buyers. So if you're sort of moving home, that is a huge deal right now. And if you want to take advantage, really now's the time that you've got to act.
Yeah, so that alongside stamp duty is obviously, got a real good time now. Lydia, you used Help to Buy, didn't you, when you bought your home? Can you tell us about your experience with it?
Yeah, well, we initially got on the property ladder using another government scheme, which was shared ownership. So we'd bought a 2-bedroom flat. So we'd had a really positive experience of using the scheme that really worked for us. And we had 2 young kids, and we were looking, as Alex had said, to kind of upsize, move to our next family home, because 2-bedroom flat, 2 children, it was getting a little bit cramped. And And when we initially started our property search, we were looking at sort of 3-bedroom semi-detached houses. That would have been great for us at that moment. And we were looking around the 470k mark. And then we came across the Help to Buy scheme and realized that we could, using that scheme, be eligible to buy a 4-bedroom detached house that would mean that we wouldn't have to move in the next 20 years. So it was kind of weighing up the fact that we would be potentially saving another round of stamp duty, that if we, you know, if we had another baby, if we outgrew the house and we wanted to move, we'd then have to do the whole process again. Plus the fact that, as I said, I had been on maternity leave. So we kind of knew, looking at that 5-year interest-free period, we would be probably in a financially better position in 5 years' time, when we'd either start having to pay interest or, you know, start paying it off. So for us, it was an absolute no-brainer, and it meant, you know, that we got our forever family home. And as I said, we had a mortgage broker who kind of held our hand the whole way. It was really straightforward. We just filled out all the application forms the same as we would when looking to get a mortgage. So yeah, for us, it's been fantastic.
Right. So Help to Buy, one of the key criteria, I think, is that it's only available on new build homes. So there are obviously pros and cons to buying a new build. There are pros and cons to buying a second-hand home. But we're going to talk a little bit more now about incentives available on new build homes specifically. Before we start, we asked you guys whether you would consider buying a new build home. So that's a good positive answer. 94% of people said yes, they would, which is nice to see. So we don't need to talk you into it too much. Stephen, why would someone choose a new build home over a second-hand property?
There's loads of reasons why, Lisa. We hear from a lot of our clients that they like having their home sort of designed for modern living. It tends to be the biggest one. So nice open plan living areas, spacious kitchens, and just basically having no need to go smashing walls down and spending loads of money when you've already spent a load to buy the place. So that's the first one. Silly little things like people might actually know we've got homes that are ready to move into now and others that are going to be finished in the near future. So just knowing that they're not going to get involved in lengthy chains and that we can move quite quickly is also quite a huge appeal, really. You also get a lot of peace of mind with a new home. You know, we're on hand as a developer to help should anything go wrong within the first 2 years, and then you've got warranty cover in place protecting you for 10 years against any sort of major structural defects, which the second-hand market just doesn't have. You also benefit from things like reduced energy bills. You know, we have to build everything to modern building regulations. So that includes things like your kitchen appliances, for instance. You know, our homes come complete with integrated appliances that are A-rated in terms of their efficiency. So that, with things like solar panels, do go to making a difference towards your bills. I could go on and on, but I suppose there's just 2 things worth mentioning quickly. I suppose, firstly, mortgage interest rates have never been cheaper. When you combine that with the Help to Buy scheme, which is fantastic, and only available on new homes, it's made things even more affordable for house buyers right now. Secondly, according to the UK House Price Index, in the last 5 years, the average house price in the UK has increased in value by £51,500. So for me, simply put, I don't think there's ever been a better time to get moving, which I'm myself in the process of doing right now.
Okay. Somebody's asked the question, is it true that you pay a premium on a new build home? I mean, I assume this is true, you know, whether you pay more for a new car than you do for a second-hand car.
No, I think it just depends on the developer. I mean, there's certain developers out there that do look to really sort of push their prices in local areas. You just need to do your homework with, you know, when you're buying a home, like you would do with a car, really, and just make sure that you're getting good value. But certainly, you know, we look to price our product fairly against the local marketplace.
Right.
I know that we certainly found when we were looking around, we were looking at older properties and new builds, and you got a lot more space for your money with the new builds in our area. So the bedrooms were all bigger, you know, the living space, it was more evenly distributed. you know, you had enough living space for your bedrooms and so on. So for us, we found that actually looking at new build houses, you were getting the, you know, the high spec and the new house, but you were also getting the space that you weren't getting in the same price bracket with older houses.
And if I could just jump in quickly as well, Lisa, on Steve's point about the premiums or the price, this property is valued by an independent person as well. So if it stacks up with an independent person that's confirmed it's worth what it's worth, there's no premium being paid.
Absolutely. And Lydia, why did you decide on a new property? Obviously, you've mentioned the space, you've mentioned the size. Were there any other sort of reasons? What was the biggest benefit to you?
Yeah, I think for us, as I said, we had a baby and a toddler. We wanted somewhere we could move into and everything would be done. There wouldn't be any projects. There wouldn't be any sort of hidden disasters that we'd have to fix once we'd moved in. And we just wanted something that was clean, that was modern. And also we didn't want a big project, but we also wanted somewhere where we could put our own stamp on it, doing kind of very easy cosmetic things like painting the walls. And new builds provide a great blank canvas for you to kind of use your creativity. So for us, I think, yeah, the single biggest benefit as well was just low maintenance. Yeah, having the peace of mind of having the warranty and knowing that you could just move in, enjoy your home, and not feel like you'd have to be knocking down walls and doing stuff like that.
Absolutely. So Stephen, what other incentives might Abbey offer its customers? We've talked a lot about the benefits of buying new build, but are there any other incentives available via Abbey that you wouldn't necessarily get with buying a second-hand home?
Absolutely. I mean, we offer quite a broad range of incentives, to be honest. So depending on the development that you're interested in. To give you an idea, we're sort of potentially willing to help with things like your legal costs, estate agency fees, perhaps initial mortgage payments. We've offered vouchers to buy furniture, first year service charges paid on some apartment schemes, and we've even helped people with the cost of their train ticket. So we've got lots of different ways of helping people to get on the ladder. Yeah, you've just got to have a little look on the website and see what one suits you.
See what's available. And there's different incentives available at different schemes?
Yes, that's it.
Right. Okay. Lydia, did you benefit from any other incentives when you bought your home?
Yes, well, in addition to using Help to Buy, we're also given a contribution which was a cash contribution either towards our stamp duty or towards our flooring. We chose to put it towards our stamp duty because obviously that's a big cost and every little helps. But I know that, you know, at various different stages of houses being released, developers will, you know, throw in free flooring, kitchen upgrades and things like that.
Great, okay. And Alex, you bought a new build home too, is that right? Did you use any schemes or incentives or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So the very first house I bought with me and my now wife was a 3-bed. We used Help to Buy. It was a great way for us to buy our first house. And when you're young and if you like your jobs aren't what they are now, having that sort of money available was tough. So it allowed us to buy our first house, and we have subsequently moved, and I haven't bought a new one now, but wish I did, because I had to do all the stuff doing it all up, which I'm not very good at DIY. So yeah, it's done now, but I wish I'd bought new.
Great. I mean, we've got tons of questions here, so I think I'm going to work through some of these. So a lot of these are asking about Help to Buy specifically, which is great to see. Stephen, probably a question for you, and probably a more general question. Someone has asked if you can negotiate the price on Help to Buy, but I guess with a new build home as well, is that something that if people want to come in and have a chat, I suppose, you know, it's worth just coming in and talking to you?
Yeah, I mean, so to be clear, Help to Buy, there's no difference between whether you're buying with Help to Buy or without, from our perspective. So everyone gets treated exactly the same, no difference in prices. You know, if you want to come and try to sort of negotiate with us, that's absolutely fine. And if you're using the Help to Buy scheme, no problem.
Right. Okay. And Alex, this might be one for you. Someone has asked, what happens to the Help to Buy loan if the property increases in value over that 5-year period? Do you pay back what you borrowed, or does it change or fluctuate?
The commitment that you give to the government as part of the scheme is you'll give them back 20% of whatever the property is valued at the point that you pay it back. So if you pay it back in the 5th year and it's gone up by a little bit, you'll pay 20% of whatever that increase is. Subsequently, if house prices don't increase, and in fact it might decrease a little bit, they also take 20% of that hit. So you give them back 20% of whatever it is at the time of sale. So it's very fair in both ways. If they decrease, you pay them back less. If they increase, you pay them back a little bit more.
And Stephen, maybe one for you again. Somebody's asked, with regards to help to buy, is there a difference in buying a new apartment against buying a new house? But I assume the amounts purely depend on the valuation, not the type of the home.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's all down to that sort of individual's circumstances, really, and their lending capability. So there's no difference with the scheme. The scheme is the same for everyone, really. So.
Okay. Great. So should we wrap up with some sort of key takeaways then? I think as I said, we've had some great questions today, and some of them I think will be answered as we wrap up. So Lydia, from your perspective, what are the 3 biggest benefits of buying new build?
I think for me, as I said before, low maintenance. Being reassured by having the 10-year warranty just means that weight off your mind, you just move in, don't have to think about anything. Affordable, especially with schemes like Help to Buy, and also a blank canvas. So the opportunity for personalisation, also the fact that you can, in most cases, choose to a certain degree your finishes, and before you've even moved in, is an opportunity you don't get with older properties.
That's great. And Alex, 3 biggest benefits of Help to Buy?
I'll give the financial benefits. It's a lower deposit than what you need to buy with any other scheme or standard house purchase. You get better interest rates than what you would do with the smaller deposits elsewhere that you may well have. So ultimately it's reducing your monthly payments, and actually allows you to buy a bigger house than what you thought you could buy, or what you would have been capped to without Help to Buy.
And Stephen, in a nutshell, what does the stamp duty holiday mean for people's finances?
In a nutshell, it means they can save potentially up to £15,000 on stamp duty, get a record low interest rate, benefit from fantastic Help to Buy scheme, which offers interest-free deposit for the initial 5 years, and they can buy a house which potentially could cost less than renting a home.
Great. That's some really good takeaways there. I'm getting a lot of questions asking how people can find out more information, which is really good to see. So, Stephen, where can people go to find out more about Abbey New Homes?
Best place to go is our website, Lisa. So abbeynewhomes.co.uk. You can find the style of home and location to suit you. You just quickly register your details on there. Take you 10 seconds. We can let you know about the prices, incentives available for that sort of particular development close to you. And then we can get in contact and discuss them, really. But obviously you can also keep an eye out for us on our Facebook and Instagram feeds.
Okay. Someone has asked where they might be able to get an update on future developments. So if they're living in a certain area and there's nothing on the website in that area, is it worth them getting in touch and seeing what's coming up?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the website will show upcoming developments. Funnily enough, it's a new website, so we've just launched our developments that are live now. So keep an eye on the web, because that will be getting updated. We've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline coming up. So yeah, lots of new exciting projects to look forward to.
Right. And Alex, what about you? If people are looking for a broker, how can they reach you and get in touch with the Mortgage Light team?
The same thing. Our website is very informative. It's got all contact, mortgagelight.co.uk. Very simple. There's some really useful blogs on there in case people want to have a read through those, or how-tos, and ultimately you can get in contact with us via an email or give us a phone call, even do a live chat, and we could try and answer any questions you might have and aim to point you in the right direction on buying a house.
That's great. And Lydia, how can people follow you and find out more about your home buying journey?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram account which is Lydia's_Leighton_life. And that's where I've been documenting kind of my new build journey since we first reserved our plot 2 years ago. So yeah, you can kind of get updates on everything we've been doing with our new build on there.
That's great. And Stephen, just a final one before we wrap up. It's very hot today, so I'm I think we should be prompt and let people get away. But somebody has obviously, website, best place to go, register details. Are there phone numbers and things on there if someone wants to call you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So each of our sales office has their own dedicated phone number. So again, just have a little look on there. It's got all the details that you need. But the best thing is if you do register online, we can get in touch with you.
Okay, I think that is everything today. Thank you everybody so much for joining us on a very hot evening. Really appreciate it, and glad you could come. Hope you found it really, really helpful, and that you'll join us again for another session in future on other topics to help you get onto the ladder or to sell and buy your next home. Thanks very much, guys. Take care.